Chinode will be presenting one of the powerful sport news now. Just stay tuned and don't touch it. It will be right back. It will definitely be right back. Hi, good afternoon from London. Good afternoon once again from London. That was a little glitch. I am Chinode and welcome to the first ever Noble Radio right here on the side that matter. Right, coming up on the sports show, or rather, should I say, the first ever show on Noble People TV. Yeah, Noble People TV or Noble Radio. Coming up, we talk about the Champions League. That's a yearly football tournament among the top clubs
in the continent. I mean, if you're asking what is the CAF Champions League or the Confederation of the CAF Champions League, it's an equivalent of your UEFA Champions League in Europe. But trust me, this is the CAF Confederation Champions League in Africa. And coming up, I'll be giving you results of games played yesterday and today. A lot of surprising results, but of course the favorite teams still look like they're ready and eager to dominate the tournament. And as well on the show, we'll be talking to a representative of the UK Africa Cup of Nations, another tournament held here in the UK to try and empower and promote grassroots football here in the UK among top African countries. When I mean top African countries, I mean every country is top. So this year we are talking 26 African countries that will come up together in East London to battle it out and see who takes this year's tournament. Last year's tournament was won by Cameroon, and previous countries that have won the tournament are Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Uganda. As well, I'll be giving you some results on the Nigerian striker. There's been a scramble for a certain Nigerian player at West Ham, and that's between West Ham and Man City. So for now, I'll take a quick little break, play you this tune, and when we come back, the sports show continues. Do not stop playing with that dial, because I shall be right back after this twist. Hi, it's John Chinode here on Live Sports on Noble Radio. Coming up now, of course, is the latest CAF Champions League results played in Africa. Firstly and foremost, it's been quite a battle. Oh, that's a radio cough. It's been a battle of the fittest for most clubs that have been playing the results, or rather the football that's probably one of the most competitive games in the continent. Well, I'll start off with MC Alger, who played in Mbabane Swallows of Swaziland. MC Algeria beat Mbabane Swallows to the tune of 2 goals to 1 in a match played in Algeria. And then we've got Club Africa here. Got it somewhere scribbled here. Yes, that's right, Club Africa. This is, of course, Group A of this tournament. Club African beat FC Rabat to the tune of 2 goals to 1. And another exciting one was the Super Sport United, who faced former defending champions TP Mazembe, and that game ended in a goalless draw in South Africa. Horaya of Guinea and CF Moana of Gabon as well. That was another match that was played in Guinea, and the Gabonese team went down to the tune of 1 goal to 0. And in another match as well, Rivers United FC of Nigeria also took on Kampala City of Uganda, and Rivers FC of Nigeria beat Kampala City to the tune of 2 goals to 1. CRD Libolo of Angola beat Zesco United of Zambia to the tune of 3 goals to 0, with Zesco United fans from Zambia calling for the resignation of the manager. Sfaxien of Tunisia as well played Platinum Stars of South Africa, and Platinum Stars of South Africa went down 3 goals to 0 in Tunisia in a match people, or rather analysts, have described as a very, very tough match for Platinum Stars, who only got 25 to 30% of possession, according to reporters that were at the match. And as well, now we move on to, again, the CAF Confederation Cup results as well that are being played today. Zanaco FC of Zambia. So far, that's news coming in. Zanaco FC of Zambia are down 1-0 to, sorry, by the tune of 1 goal to 0 to Cotton Sports of Cameroon. And of course, that's the result so far from the CAF Champions League being played in Africa. So much has improved in terms of African football. Teams now are paying players as much as $15,000 a month, and of course that's countries like South Africa, countries like Egypt. Of course, they've got one of the most richest teams in Africa. You've got TP Mazembe of Congo as well, that is paying players some good wages, and we're talking amounts of like $20,000, $25,000. So that's a very, very good look for African football. Not to forget that in Nigeria as well, probably Nigeria is a country that you probably expect to have one of the richest clubs, but then they have also been paying their players players getting as above $4,500 to $6,000 a month, which is good for African standards. Not that we can't do better, but you know, we're talking of the realistic aspects now of African football. So so much going right now in African football. I know a lot of you there listening prefer watching the UEFA Champions League, but believe me, the African Champions League is more exciting. Teams now are very professional. There is a lot of management, a lot of marketing going on, and if you're here in the diaspora, hey, why not invest in a club? Why not become the Abramovich of African football? So that's the CAF Champions League so far. little is being said of who looks like winning this year's tournament. TP Mazembe, of course, of Congo, that is owned by tycoon Moses Katumbi. People expected that match against Supersport FC. People expected TP Mazembe FC to go through with a landslide win, but they've been held to the tune of 2-0. And of course, in other news, still on the Sports Hour, I don't have much on my plate. My producer is winding me up to say I need to get on with it. We've got as well the Nigerian striker Kelechi, who is at West Ham. Little is being said now what happens to the 20-year-old's future. As I just flick on my iPad here, it tells me something that, probably that's the revival now of Nigerian football. The days of Rashid Yekini, you're talking of Amokachi, you're talking of the Friday Olaos, the old Nigerian team that used to play my country, Zambia. Back in '94 when Zambia played Nigeria in the Africa Cup of Nations that was held in Tunisia, in which Nigeria beat Zambia to the tune of 2-1, and the scorer of those 2 goals was Amuniki, who the Zambian team knew little about him. But then still before we talk about this Nigerian player, I feel like, talking about Nigerian football, Ghanaian football, Cameroonian football so far in Africa, why have they not performed very well in recent World Cup tournaments? My I think observation is, I think in Africa we go through a dip. We go through this little dip where we up there, like Nigeria. If you recall, in the early 90s, when they had the Peter Rufais in goal, they had the Equivin, they had the George Finidis, they had the cream of African football. Then you move on to Ghana, they had the Abedi Peles, they had the Ibrahim Alis, they had the Neil Lampteys, they had the Prince Opu Conte, what a fantastic name to pronounce in African football. Then you had Cameroon, who had Roger Milla, no introduction. They had the Pomofede. They had a Makanaki, another exciting, lovely name to pronounce in in African football. Now, what has happened is these teams go through a dip. Nigeria went through a dip in the 80s, and then they rose again in the 90s. And it seems they won the Africa Cup of Nations in 2013, and you expected, of course, Nigerian football to excel. But then they're slightly going through that dip, but coming up well so far, because I've been following their local league. I've been following the Ghanaian league. I've been following in the Cameroonian league as well. That there's a lot of changes, a lot of young players that are coming through. But then it's, I think, got to do with continuity, where the FAs in these respective African countries need to have a succession plan, a transformation plan, where, Nigeria, Ghana won the Africa Cup under 20. What happens to those players? Are we still going to play the same players that we played 4 or 5 years ago? I'm not saying let's get rid of them, but let's have a bit of youth and experience. Youth and experience is what we lack. If we look at the big teams in the world, like Brazil, they will not play the same team they played 4 years ago. But with African football, we are fond of keeping the same players, right? Keeping the same players. And I'm not going to go into politics, but, when I'm out there having a barbecue, I hear people saying, hey, African politicians don't want to let go. So does that same mentality apply in football? Or there are other changes that we can make? But of course, your thoughts are welcome. You can always email us here or call Noble People TV. Everything, all the information that you require is right here on the website. That's, of course, Noble People TV, Noble Radio. And of course, I would like also to mention that if you are listening now and you'd like to interact with us wherever you are on the continent of Africa, and you'd want to give us information on football. It doesn't have to be a Premiership team in Africa. We are strictly here promoting the cause of African football. As well as I was saying that African football needs to develop. I go back to Southern Africa. I'm originally from Zambia, but I call myself, my tribe is African. I'm just from Zambia by birth, but my tribe is African. Zambia won the Africa Cup of Nations in 2012 in style, beating the Cote d'Ivoire of Drogba. You're talking about the late Tiote, you're talking of Traore, name them. And what has happened to Zambia as well after 2012? Just 2 weeks ago, they were silenced and humbled to the tune of 1-0 in front of their fans at Levy Stadium in Ndola by an average Mozambican team. And of course, still talking about African football right here, I've got enough information. Firstly, I'm going to go to Nigeria, where we look at some of the players that are making rounds in the Nigerian football fraternity, especially here in in Europe. I go to Swansea City. They are on the brink as well of announcing the signing of England under-21 international of Nigerian parentage, Tammy Abraham. This reporter here writes that it's electronic edition that the Swans have reached an agreement with Chelsea over the signing of the prolific striker, and the paperwork is on its way. Now, of course, this young player, Tammy Abraham, will join Swansea on a season loan, and who is he representing? England at the under-21 Euro, and he's netted in 23 goals. Well, we're not saying you can't represent England, but then on that, I was trying to cue in to say we've got the young eaglets here of the UK, coached by David Doherty, who has come up with a very, very unique initiative to promote Nigerian football here, where he's built an under-17 Nigerian team based in the UK. And what he's trying to do is take players like Tammy Abraham when they're young to familiarize them with the Nigerian culture. And by that I mean, we come here, you can, and give birth to our little ones, and all we do is maybe take them to places that are not close to their own roots. So I think David Doherty is doing a fantastic job with coming up with the young eaglets that are also part of the UK Africa Cup. And as well, the ex-England star, Jack Ipalibo, is making waves at Villarreal in Spain, and he's actually eyeing Russia. And as well, another interesting news here that's just dropped in on football. Again, it's Nigeria. The highly placed source a highly placed source in the camp of West Ham has reviewed talks with Man City's Nigerian forward Kelechi Iheanacho, who is back on after City lowered their demands. Remember, I mentioned that at the start of the program. Known and respected, of course, for having inside knowledge about West Ham transfer stories and issues about the club, the ex-West Ham employee told Manchester City to watch that West Ham resume talks with the 20-year-old after City lowered their fee for the buyback. Iheanacho's proposed move to West Ham has dragged on for months, despite the speed at which talks progressed at the initial stage, which Man City insistence on a buyback clause to be holding up the deal. But here are some of the answers regarding the player. That the problem with Iheanacho is, like you say, is that City have demanded a buyback clause to be part of the deal, but the player himself doesn't want to leave, and this is also seen as a way of appeasing the transfer. So of course, that's some of the news that's coming in from the African continent. Of course, this is our first ever sports show, Sports Hour on Noble Radio. That's every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. I am John Chinode. Join me on this platform every single Wednesday, where I bring you the latest of African football. Well, before I pull up the string and pull up the wings, I would also like to mention to you that Noble People TV is available on YouTube. It's a YouTube account. Make sure you top up that phone if you are on pay as you eat or pay as you go. You know, some people are on pay as you go and live on pay as you eat. So if you're on pay as you go, make sure you top up the phone. If you're on the internet and you've paid for your Wi-Fi or your broadband, make sure you do the inevitable by typing YouTube and getting onto Noble People TV for your latest and classic information. And of course, you can catch Noble People TV and Noble Radio on Facebook by typing in Noble People International magazine. And or rather, you can get dialing on the website, and the website is www.noblepeoplemedia.org. I repeat, I spoke a bit fast, I assume. www.noblepeoplemedia.org. Or better still, you can dial us on the number flashing on the website, or I'll say it out now. It's 07 424 207 882. So that's the Sports Hour. Remember, it's every Wednesday at the same time on the site that matters, radio that matters, and that's Noble Radio here in London. If you've got any information in regards to African football, any contribution to the cause and purpose of African football, how we can improve that that country's local league to ensure that one day an African country brings the World Cup home. I'm Chinode Sengalumbwe. Before I pull the strings and pull the rings, it's hot here in London. Enjoy the weather and catch me again next Wednesday. Goodbye. welcome back to the program again. This is part 2 of our afternoon program. As I mentioned earlier, that the Africa Cup UK, which is an annual tournament that's held here in the United Kingdom among African countries. The tournament initially started in 2009 by a gentleman called Dennis from Uganda, and Dennis has also been awarded with a certain award, which I don't know on top of my head, by Prince William for promoting grassroots football. And this tournament has had different countries that have won it. That includes starting with Uganda, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ghana, and of course Cameroon. The tournament itself is also supported by the English FA. In that sense, I mean, it's not just a tournament that we host in a, that we do our draws in a community center. I'm not looking down on us Africans, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, we don't just book a council community center. No, this is actually done at Wembley Stadium in the VIP lounge, and there's a lot of FA officials that come in. There's the police as well. Essex police are involved. We've got the mayor as well of Essex, who is in attendance. So it's a very, very big tournament. It's like just watching the Africa Cup in Africa, but this is on a UK platform. The tournament has also gone an extra mile by introducing an under-17, because there are players, of course, like myself, or Mr. Noble here himself, Mr. Ade, who can never play for Liverpool or Chelsea because we've gone past our sell-by date. So this tournament started off as a social game among African countries, but promoting grassroots football among those young African players born of African heritage here in the UK that aspire to play big football. So the organizers and the chairperson of the tournament, Mr. Marshall Go, has gone the extra mile by inviting scouts, football scouts from top Premiership clubs, League One, to come and scout players. So these scouts in the previous years have told us to set up an under-17, under-17 teams to compete among themselves. So far we've had David Doherty's Nigeria, who won it for the first time. And then we've had the Zimbabwean under-17 as well that have gone on to win the tournament. Well, let me tell you now about this year's tournament. This year's tournament is better than last year. It's the 8th African Nations Cup UK 2017, and it starts from the 1st of July to the 15th of July at Hackney Mash in East London. I'm just going to flick here the iPad to just see if I can, of course, give you the accurate address. First and foremost, I have to mention that the actual event this year is sponsored by Prostate Cancer UK, and we've also got other sponsors here in front of me, like the African Football Association, and we've got a Royal Air Morocco as well that have shown interest. Just to mention a few countries, in case your country is not there, but you still have to support if you are African or you are friends of Africa. Remember, the tournament is not just open to Africans, it's open to anyone who's got an interest in African football. The team so far this year, we've got Angola, of course, who have made appearances to this tournament in the past, and we've got Botswana, we've got Cameroon, we've got Ghana, we've got Guinea-Bissau, we've got Guinea-Conakry, we've got the Ivory Coast, we've got Kenya, we've got Liberia, and we've got Madagascar. And as well, we've got Zimbabwe, who are probably one of the most organized teams I've seen. They come in all their tracksuits written Zimbabwe. They order their kits from the Zimbabwean FA in Harare, which is very, very positive. And we've also got Zambia, where I come from, but I have to be impartial because of what I'm doing right now. But let's move on. We've got Uganda as well. We've got Tanzania. We've got South Africa. We've got Somaliland. we've got Sierra Leone, and we have Nigeria and Morocco. Of course, the games start on Saturday with the preliminary rounds and knockout stages. The preliminary rounds are played between Saturday and Sunday. That's the first and the second. So if you are interested or you'd like to interact with me this afternoon on various topics, strictly African football, here's the number to dial. It's 07 424 207 882. That's 07 424 207 882. Get dialing now and call me regarding the UK Africa Cup tournament, and of course the results that I mentioned earlier in the Confederation Cup being played in Africa. Or the other question I'll pose to you is, what can Africa do? What can African teams do to win a World Cup tournament or reach the semi-final of a World Cup? So far, African teams have only gone as far as reaching the quarterfinals, and that's Cameroon, Nigeria, Morocco. When is it going to happen for us? Like, we reached even the semi-final and let us know the finals. We saw Ghana there with Asamoah Gyan, who missed a penalty in South Africa, where we all had hope that this time an African country will bring the cup home. Do you think it will take players playing in Europe to win the tournament, or is it going to take players that are playing in Africa but are well looked after, on good wages? For example, I'm going to give you this, that if you look at Spain, when they won the World Cup in South Africa, 9 of their players were playing in the Spanish league. 9 of that first team players were playing in the Spanish league. So is the same principle going to apply for an African country? Because we've seen countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, who've got probably the whole team that's playing in Europe or different parts of the world where football is developed compared to African standards, but they failed to deliver to the cause. Or is it maybe they've got too much egos among the players? You know, I'm playing for Liverpool, what are you going to tell me? I'm playing for Chelsea, what are you going to tell me? So I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions regarding that. But as I said, of course, the address for the tournament is just coming up now. It's the Hackney Mash. That's the venue of the tournament, the Africa Cup UK, that will be held on the 1st of July up to the 15th. And kickoff starts from 10 a.m. with the official opening ceremony with dancers. We have speeches from important high dignitaries, and that's diplomats, high commissioners representing various African countries. And of course, it's a family day that you could bring your wife, kids, girlfriend, or other. We've got a bouncy castle, we've got barbecues that will be burning, we've got live music with various African DJs that are making rounds here in the UK. And of course, the tournament as well supports other causes. So, you know, it's not just football. We've gone the extra mile now by inviting organizations like organizations that deal with promoting health, like HIV, prevention of cancer, and etc. So they are also part of the tournament. But hey, do you want to make money at this tournament? Because you can hire yourself a stand and sell your goodies. You remember there's 26 African countries that are involved. Well, let me just get this call. A caller right now on the line. Good afternoon. Please tell me your name, where you're calling from, and go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you this afternoon?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm Mercy, calling from Canberra.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Mercy.
All right. Hello, Messi. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Canberra.
Oh, you're calling from Cambo, just down the road. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, please tell us, give us your contribution so far, or any questions that you'd like to ask.
No, I just want to, when is the tournament going to start? When is the football going to start?
The Africa Cup UK tournament.
Yes, when is it going to start?
Right. It's going to start on the 1st of July on a Saturday. It's 10 a.m. It's free entry into the tournament. It starts at 10 a.m. and finishes around 6 to 7 p.m. All teams play 2 matches until Sunday. That's the knockout stage. We've got bouncy castle. We've got we've got barbecues for countries. Various countries bring their own barbecues, their own music. So it's a very good, it's more, could I say, community cohesions. We see very little of us Africans getting together under one platform. We find, where you live in Camberwell, Zambians are this side, Nigerians are this side, Zimbabweans are this side, but this tournament brings togetherness among African countries. I hope you asked me that. Yeah. So, and probably in the... The place is Hackney Mash. It's in Hackney. The postcode, I'll just give it out to you now whilst you are on air. The postcode is Homerton Road. Homerton Road. That's London. E for Echo 9. And that's 5 Papa Foxtrot. Yeah, so that's London E9 5 PF. That's Homerton Road. And it's called Hackney Mash. You will not miss it. It's a very, very nice place. Very nice tournament. So if you're free on that day, please tell your friends, bring everyone around, regardless of background. Yeah, and probably in the next. Sorry. I didn't catch. Yeah, you definitely see me there. Come and see, because you're the first caller. When you see me there, come and ask me for a free glass of wine, or free pounded yam, or free barbecue, because you're the first caller. Yeah, hold me at ransom because you're the first caller to call me on Noble Radio or sports show. Today's my first. Yeah, so make sure you come and hunt me, and I'll treat you to something. Yeah. Yeah, and probably in the near future we'll start a ladies team, a football ladies team among African ladies.
All right, I would like to be there as well.
All right, okay, no problem. Thank you, Mercy. Enjoy yourself. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right, okay, that was Mercy from Camberwell. Thank you so much, Mercy, for calling and showing concern, and that's what the spirit should be, patriotism on causes like this. It's a very, very fantastic tournament that I think once you attend, you never ever look back, because the actual tournament, as I said, is held every year at not various stadiums, I beg your pardon, but it's held there. I just got a caller. I just got a caller on the line, and that's the gentleman I was talking about. Hello, is that Daniel Otaya?
Yeah, speaking.
Yeah, hi Danny. Sorry I've caught you off guard, but you're live on radio now, on Noble Radio, and I'm very patriotic about Africa, so I just thought I could promote the tournament, and you're the marketing director of the Africa Cup UK.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we just had a person just called earlier on. She never knew about the tournament because I've been mentioning it. What should people expect at this year's tournament?
This year's tournament, people should expect a great entertainment of high-level football for the young people and also the open age. The young people, what I mean by that is any age which is under 17. And on top of that, we are not only promoting football, but we in this tournament, we use this tournament as a platform for all African organizations, SMEs, to come and sell their services to the community. So there are so many companies which are turning up to see that they can access their the consumers within this tournament. And we're going to have THT, which is obvious, an organization which tests HIV and create awareness about HIV in the community. And we're going to have Prostate Cancer UK as our main sponsors this year. They could be there talking to men and the women who should talk to their husband to take them and test for the prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is the biggest killer of men in the UK, black men in the UK. They say that one man in four are suffering prostate cancer. And really, when I came to know about this, I've been checking with all my friends. So many families are having this epidemic, but we don't know about it more. Now, on top of that, there's great food, African food. There's bouncing castles, face painting. So it is football with entertainment. So we can call it Foot Fest. In short.
Right.
So
Okay.
the tournament.
Yeah, I was going to ask Danny that, I've attended all the tournaments from the first one, and they keep improving every year. What have you done this year to improve on last year's tournament?
This year is going to be very, very interesting. Why? Because we've put in Brazil as the biggest challenger to the young youth. Because Brazil are the best players of football, and what we've done, we've incorporated Brazil into our tournament this year as our special guests appearance. Under 17, these young people of Brazil are going to test the youth of Africans from Nigeria, from Zimbabwe, from Uganda. They need to test themselves to see that they can be scouted to the top clubs, because we are having top agents and scoutsmen who are going to be around there to see that these young people, if they can play football at the higher level, why can they be taken to the bigger clubs? So this is an opportunity for them to show their talent. And if not, if they cannot be connected to the bigger clubs here, then it's a platform for them to be liaised on in Africa of their mother countries where they come from, so that they can join the national team of the country. On top of that, we think that the young people in this football, it gives them another opportunity to show that if they can really play well, and they know that their fathers are coming from these areas of the country or in Africa, so it is a sense of great identity for them. So it's not only about football, it's about various opportunities for them, and also great integration in the community. So we need to see everyone coming up on 1st of July, 2nd of July, and 8th of July. However, on 15th of July, we are going to have a biggest tournament. We call it big match, because we're having the regions of Africa versus the regions of Caribbeans. So we'll talk more about that next week. Why are we having that game on the finals?
Right, okay, fantastic.
Now,
I just want to quickly ask Danny that, sorry to cut you short there, I was going to say that there might be, Nova Radio is global, so there might be somebody in Birmingham, somebody in Newcastle, Scotland, or Bristol, and they are maybe from Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Gabon, Madagascar. All these countries are participating this year. Now, there might be somebody listening who is a very good player, and they are biting their nails now and saying, oh, I want to get involved, I would like to play for my country. How do they get in touch with these countries? Is there a number, or can they contact you?
Yeah, I think the best way is to send the email on info, or they can send it direct to me, Daniel, DANIEL, at africanifa.com. Simple. Daniel at africanifa.com. Then they tell the country where they come from, their age group, and then I refer them to the coaches of those countries or the representative of those countries.
Right, okay, Danny. Yeah, another thing is, of course, we Africans here in the UK, we are always queuing up to Western Union to send something either to our parents or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. There's something, we're always sending money to somebody. So somebody listening right now might want to increase their money that they send through Western Union, and they want to do some business. I understand you've got stores that people can, pay a fee and come and sell their goods or services. Tell us more.
The stores which are there mainly are for products which are in consumable products. But if we are talking about someone who is going to sell their brands at the bigger way, then that way we need to sit down and discuss how they can come on board to be that they get exposure, and also so there's brand visibility, and also they can have direct contact with the consumers within the diaspora. This is so simple. They can send me the email, and then you can take it from there. They can for next year, because this year is still there for taking if someone makes the decision 1 or 2 to 3 days. But mostly now we've closed, as we know that most of the companies are already queuing up for next year. So they can fill up the form, talk to me, and then they can come for the 2018. But this year, those who are in business of selling food, business of selling soft drinks, they can come on board, and then we can talk how they can sell their food on this event. It is so simple. There's a form which I give them to fill up, and then they give me their insurance and also hygiene certificates, and then everything can be approved by the council, because we are regulated by the council, and also the football is regulated by the London FA, whereby we have to follow some codes before anyone is approved.
All right, Danny, I don't.
Time is still there, 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days. All right, Danny, I don't like to be controversial, but then African embassies sometimes are not giving African countries the support that they need. There's positives and negatives with our African embassies. They're doing positive stuff, but then sometimes they don't get involved in community activities. What are the embassies doing so far this year for the different African embassies? We've seen Morocco at this tournament. I think Moroccan embassy, they've showed an example through their high commissioner. Do we expect more from embassies this year?
Yeah, the Kenyan ambassador, as you know, is one of the best ambassador who was selected this year as the best ambassador within the Commonwealth states in the UK. He was selected, so we've invited him to be one of our official guests, and we have officials from our new entrants, Liberia and Guinea-Conakry. So we have the top delegates in the football industry, and also the top entrepreneurs who talk about their businesses on the opening ceremony. So those who want to know how to break through from the scratch, you can come on Africa Cup of Nations and see and hear yourself. For example, those who missed to come at the draws, we had one of the biggest business entrepreneur, Mr. Levi Roots of Rega Sauce, which is sold all over in Tesco and Sainsbury's. Oh yes, he will be there. And Mr. Ambrose Mende, one of the top sports agents. These people, they are telling you their real life story about how to work and not lose focus on your dream within any sector. But they are using this tournament as a big tool to talk to the community, because the community should come together and work together as a team to stay focused on our dreams. Everyone has got a dream, no question about it. But if you don't dream, then you cannot really be thinking going somewhere. So I think that coming to the Africa Cup of Nations, you don't only get football, but it is more than football. As I said before, that we give so much, and those who love music, there will be music. Those who love to listen to the business entrepreneur and develop your businesses, they will listen to the top business people. Those who want to know about health aspects, there will be stalls talking about different epidemics in this world, like prostate cancer and HIV. Then we have those who talk about starting a business in the UK from scratch. For example, in the coffee in the sector, we have those who are in the chili sauce. So let us, I think, come together, and we can do bigger things every year. And we on Africa Cup of Nations or African Football Association will never give up. We started in 2009, and up to now we're still going strong. And that's why the FA managed in 2013 to give us an award on Buckingham Palace. As you are aware, Prince William gave us an award for this tournament, because it's the biggest tournament they've seen in their community. So I'm calling upon all Africans, doesn't matter even if you're not registered this year, but come there and then see. Maybe next year you go to your communities and then pull up together team. Then this can start taking you also to be part of the family. We are not only members, but we are a family. Our brothers from Morocco, when they have a problem, we are always there. For example, yesterday we were down in West London talking about our brothers who were in that flat which caught fire. So, and this football sector, we are not only promoting football, but also we are part of a family in different aspects.
Right, Danny, the other thing is you just mentioned Morocco. Obviously, you know, people would love to know some of the achievements that have come out of the Africa Cup in terms of footballers. I bumped into a Moroccan player in Kensington, and he said to me, "Hello, I know you. You're one of the hosts at the Africa Cup UK." Then he went on to tell me that there's a Moroccan player that played in the Africa Cup UK and is now been signed by Newcastle United. He was in the reserves and is now been signed by Newcastle United. What are some of the achievements that people would like to know? That, you know, have we had any players that have been signed up apart from the Moroccan player? I've been told he was signed up by Newcastle.
I mean, I cannot mention all the names because I'm not in terms of me negotiating the names of the players who have gone to different clubs. But I can say few, as I said from the beginning, that there are so many scoutsmen who come to look for young, talented African players in the diaspora to take them to the bigger clubs. Now, example, Nigeria has got so many young players who are in Brighton and Hove, Birmingham FC. I will give an example. Brighton and Hove, their captain is a Nigerian, but they scouted him from Africa Cup of Nations, UK. So, I go to Charlton. There are so many players who started from nowhere, but now their Nigerian Eagle team is taking them to different levels of the world. You look at the World Cup last year, 2 players from the diaspora of the Nigerian descent, they were selected from there and they played for the national team of Nigeria, under 20 in the World Cup. So I think, as I'm speaking here, those parents who are listening to the radio right now, global radio, they should talk to their children who are playing football. They should work hand in hand with them to look for their mothering managers for their country, and then they can take them there. I've told you earlier that this is a bigger platform for these young people to show their talent. And indeed, this year we have one of the biggest sporting companies, Eden Sports Management, is going to be there. If you look on the banner posters, they are one of our partners. So they're going to be there. And obviously, they are looking for big talent, and they're looking to see that they are doing bigger projects also in Africa. I will not open up everything, but everyone needs to come there with their children, and they see, and they meet these agents, the intellect face to face. Not only that, but if our young players have got an opportunity, they will be taken to Brazil. Why? Because we are having Brazilian top managers coming to this tournament to see how this synergy can be expanded into the Brazilian clubs. Because Brazil is one of the top players they produce great players, but we think these young players from Africa also, they can have a chance to play in Brazil, hence developing their talent and maybe come back in the UK and join the bigger clubs. So this is the ideas which you are trying to expand. And on top of that, we think that if we don't help ourselves, we as Africans, no one will help us. So this tournament is there to help our young children. This tournament is not going to stop today. It will continue forever and ever. Even if I die, it will still be going strong. Even if Dennis moves on or Marshall move on, the tournament will still going on. So we need to see that these young people also, we teach them how to manage, work within the football industry, and they will stay there running it when we move on. So I think Mr. Chinode, you've been here as one of our top media guys, and I know you've seen what is developing in this tournament, but the dream is not yet reached. We are going all the way. Take my word.
Right, okay, fantastic. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us on Noble Radio, Noble People TV, and I'll ensure that Noble Radio, whether they say yes or no, I'll ensure I drag them to the tournament. But of course, give us your final words and final thoughts. I'll probably call, I'll keep calling until we get to the finals on the next Sports Corner. we'll keep calling
No
to.
problem.
Yeah, so just give us your final thoughts and words regarding this tournament.
My final word: the tournament is going to be on the 1st, 2nd, 8th at Hackney Marshes East, which is in E95QN in East London, and the nearest tube station is Hamilton. And there are so many buses which go through there, W15, 243, all buses coming to Central Hackney. You can ask anyone, you can't fail to find Hackney Marshes. Even if you go to Stratford, you can reach Hackney Marshes easily. From Leighton, you take W15, you reach Hackney Marshes. So be there and enjoy it. Then the finals will be 15th of July in the new Riverside Stadium, Tottenham Hale, which is NE225QW, which is in nearest tube station is Wood Green. But anyone who knows North London, you can't miss that stadium. It's a 2,400 seater with great pitch, and we're having a media center there. We're going to have a lot of things taking place on that day. So please don't miss this tournament, and I don't want anyone to tell you that, oh, you missed it when you've had now. You need to be there to see it yourself. Thank you so much, Noble Radio, and keep it up, Mr. Chinode. We catch up soon.
Right, okay, thank you very much, Daniel, for your words, and we hope, we believe and trust that this tournament this year will be off the chain, like the young people's slang. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to be an outstanding tournament. So you heard it from himself. That was Daniel Lutaya, who is the marketing director of the African Cup UK. Well, you're still on the sports corner. Now coming to the end of part 2 of this part 2 program. But of course, you can always join me on the sports corner, not on Wednesday, but then you could join me as well on a Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, and as well a Sunday when I bring you latest results for the results, I beg your pardon, that are coming out of African football. As you heard Daniel Lutaya there, the Director of Marketing and Media for the Africa Cup UK, mentioned that the only people that can change Africa, not just the football, but change Africa as a whole, is not the foreign investor, but it's actually you and me. And as well, I'd like to say that if you'd like to advertise on Noble Radio or Noble TV, remember it's global. Noble Radio, Noble TV is also part of the Noble People magazine. So you can advertise on radio, TV, and the magazine. That's Noble Magazine, Noble Radio, and Noble TV. That's Noble People International magazine that has got distribution throughout the UK and beyond the UK. So if you'd like to advertise, I repeat, do not be shy. You know the number to dial us on. I'll give it to you now. That's 07 424 207 882. But as you flick on the website, you can see the email that you could drop us an email in case you don't have credit on your phone. You failed to top up for various reasons. You can always drop us an email. Well, I am John Chinode on the Sports Corner. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. The weather is lovely here in London. And until next time, for me, it's goodbye and stay blessed.